Hi, I'm Sean. Today I'm going to make this bathroom vanity featuring inset push-to-open drawers. Earlier this year, a pipe broke in my laundry room and my adjacent bathroom was flooded. My wife and I decided that it would be better to remodel our bathroom than to have the insurance company pay a contractor to simply put flooring in and repaint. So I demoed the bathroom and completely rebuilt the shower and sink area. I didn't want a cabinet-style vanity, so I came up with the idea of making the vanity to be mounted to the walls on 3 sides, essentially so it floats. To start, I cut a sheet of plywood just undersized the sink and countertop. While breaking down the plywood, I cut the drawer partitions down to size as well. Now I had to make a cutout for the sink. Have you ever started doing something and then realized over halfway through that there was a better, easier, and faster way of doing what you're doing? Yeah, this is what I was doing here. I could have just drilled holes in the corners and used a jigsaw to cut out the square, but instead I used a router and created a huge mess. But it got the job done. The drawer partitions were then checked for their locations. I had a leftover strip of walnut plywood from the nightstands I made a few months back, so I utilized that material instead of going out to buy some solid walnut for the front of the vanity. I ripped it to width, and to get the drawer fronts out of the plank, I ripped 2 strips from each side. This effectively gave me the ability to cut the drawer fronts free and have a continuous grain match throughout the front of the vanity. If you like this video, please subscribe so you don't miss any projects in the future. And if you want to keep up to date with projects, you can check me out on Instagram where you'll see photos of my projects week to week. I first cut a small strip that would sit against the wall, and then the drawer front. Then the centerpiece, followed by the other drawer front and the last strip for the other side. I rejoined the long strips to the centerpiece with dominoes to get the plywood to align perfectly flush. This is a task the domino excels at, and I use it for all panel glue-ups. There's no need to worry about having to flush up and flatten a panel after the glue dries. The strips are then glued to the centerpiece and set aside to dry. The vanity base is then glued up using dominoes as well. It's a good idea to have rehearsed your glue up so you aren't running around looking for clamps or figuring out where clamps need to go. I covered the edges of the plywood drawer fronts and the openings by using a shop-made iron-on banding. You can see a video on that here. I use my mobile workstation to hold the drawer fronts vertically so I can work on the edges, and I clamp the drawer front on edge so I can finesse the openings to fit perfectly. Here, you can see the grain continuity of the front. For the finish, I wiped on some oil-based polyurethane with a high grit sanding between coats. Here's a video on my varnish finishing process. The vanity front glue up is straightforward. You can see how long it's taken me to get to this point by evidence of my hair. I simply used 4 clamps to glue on the front. The Rockler Surefoot aluminum bar clamps are really nice clamps. The advanced screw is smooth and they have a large clamping surface, and I like to pad mine with adhesive backed cork. The drawer boxes were made with box joints. After cutting the joints, I checked them for accuracy, and then I cut the panel groove on the inside face a ½ inch up from the bottom. When the boxes are assembled, you can see the groove from the front of the box, but that'll be covered from the drawer front. The boxes are easy to glue together as they square up with just a few clamps and light pressure. When the glue's dry, I flushed the joints at the table saw using a flush trimming fence. Video here. The boxes get sanded and finished with a few coats of water-based polyacrylic. These drawer slides need to be placed 5.5 millimeters back from the drawer fronts, since mine are inset. So I used a cutoff and glued a 5.5 millimeter piece of scrap to it and left one side proud of the edge. You'll see why in a moment. I placed the setup block in Rockler's universal drawer slide jig and locked the slide in place. Then I set the block in the opening so the drawer slide was spaced where I wanted it. That offset edge on the block makes the block stay put when the jig sits on top of it. Then the cabinet member of the slide was attached with the supplied screws. The drawer member was attached to the drawer by making a center line and using an awl to mark the locations for the screws, so the member doesn't shift out of place when the screws are driven in. The cabinet members are extended, the box is set in place, and pushed in so the mechanism engages. These are really cool slides. The fronts are simply positioned and glued on. I love the sleek modern look of the flush drawers and the continuous grain of this vanity. This is a huge upgrade to the bathroom, and knowing that I made it makes it all the better. Thanks for watching. Please like and share this video. It really helps me out. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing. That way you never miss a future project video. And if you're into the social media thing, you can follow me on Instagram, where I post progress and finished pictures of my projects. Thanks for watching. See you next time.